Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My mom recently sent me this stunning Le Crueset pan, and I couldn't be happier to have this beautiful piece of kitchen equipment in my arsenal. But I wanted to make something special in it, so today we're going to make lemongrass chicken. To start this dish, we need to make a marinade for our chicken, so I have 2 stalks of lemongrass, just chopping off those bottom ends, as well as the top that's woody and fibrous, and we can't really utilize that for our marinade. Now we're going to take the back of our knife and start smacking the lemongrass, sending a disc of it out into the universe, just to soften this up. We're going to roughly chop this into discs, because we're going to put this in a food processor, in my case a Vitamix, to make a puree. When you're chopping, if you get to the top and it gets too hard to cut through, just discard that piece. We're also going to need 2 shallots, just chopping off both ends, taking off the skin of the shallot, roughly chopping, and adding that to the same bowl as our lemongrass. Next up is 4 cloves of garlic. We're simply going to smash, peel, and add to our bowl. Now we're going to zest 1 whole lime directly into the bowl as well, trying to keep as much of that white pith out as possible. Now into the bowl of food processor, in my case my Vitamix pitcher, we're adding 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 3 tablespoons of fish sauce, all of our chopped vegetables, 1 teaspoon of red chili flake, 2 tablespoons of oyster sauce, and all the juice from that lime we just zested. This is going to add a little acidity to our marinade, as well as tenderize the chicken meat as it sits. Give this a little blend until we get a lovely smooth paste. Now I have 8 bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs in a Ziploc bag. Simply going to open this up and pour all of our marinade into our chicken. If you don't like dark meat, you can use chicken breast, but I do recommend getting the bone-in chicken breast because it'll keep your meat moist, as white meat tends to dry out a little faster. Now we're going to squeeze as much of that air out as possible and start massaging in our marinade. This is going to sit in the fridge overnight. Again, put this in a container large enough to hold it just in case anything leaks. It'll help avoid cross-contamination. Go in and flip this over a couple times as it sits overnight. This was actually 2 days later, not the next day. The AC broke in our apartment, and our apartment turned into a sauna. So I decided to wait till it was a little cooler. So over medium-high heat, I've added 2 tablespoons of grapeseed oil, or whatever neutral vegetable oil you have. Now we're going to start adding in our chicken skin side down. I should definitely have done this in batches. It would have crisped up the skin a lot faster. I did overcrowd the pan, so it steamed a little longer. And it took a little longer for that chicken skin to crisp up and render out that fat. So don't be like me. Make your chicken in batches so you don't have to wait as long for that skin to crisp up. In the meantime, we're going to preheat our oven to 375, and don't discard that marinade. We are going to add that in a second. If we were basting this chicken, I would not recommend using that marinade that sat in the fridge overnight, because then you risk salmonella. But because we're baking this in the oven, it should eradicate any of that anything harmful in it. We're going to start flipping our chicken. Once everything's flipped over, just add the rest of that marinade in between all those little chicken pieces. And this is going to bake in the oven at 375 for 30 minutes. If you're using chicken breast, the time is going to be a little shorter, so just keep an eye on it. While that's baking, we're going to prep a little garnish. So I have 4 scallions here that I'm just chopping up. And as you know from my previous videos, I like to keep these in an ice water bath until I'm ready to use them. This keeps them crisp and fresh and vibrant. So just dump those in there. I was having issues, as you can tell, at this point. We're also going to use a little cilantro. If you have that gene that makes cilantro taste like soap, you can definitely leave this out. It's not going to change the flavor at all. I just like the flavor of cilantro. I'm also adding in Thai basil leaves, which are much more peppery than domestic basil leaves, so I like that nice peppery bite. Now that our chicken is done, we're going to spoon any of that liquid chicken fat, anything on the bottom, over our chicken thighs. Now I've taken all of our garnish out of the water and dried it on a paper towel, and we're just going to start sprinkling this all over the top of our chicken. This adds just such a vibrancy and pop of color as well as a freshness to our dish. Now let's plate this up. You could definitely plate this on top of bib lettuce or a mash. It's completely up to you. I just wanted to be able to taste the chicken on its own, so there is nothing underneath. So I've plated 2 thighs, spooning over a little bit more of that lusciousness that's on the bottom of our pan. And I'm adding a little bit more of our garnish just because I like that little hit of freshness on top. Now let's give these a little taste. The lemongrass adds a subtle citrus hint. You get the tartness from the lime, the funkiness and umami from the fish sauce and oyster sauce. And this chicken thigh is super tender and super succulent. I like that there's herbs on top because it adds a hit of freshness to a dish that can come across as rich. But this is absolutely delicious, and full disclosure, after I stopped filming, I put down my knife and fork and just went at this with my hands. There it is, lemongrass chicken. I hope you guys try to make this. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked this video, give it a like. If you loved it, subscribe. Hit that notification bell because I put out new videos every Thursday. Until next time, happy cooking. Probably the best thing about owning a Vitamix. It cleans up so easily.